listening in the world. It's a pleasure to welcome you to IsraelCast, the podcast powered by Jewish National Fund USA, your voice in Israel. I'm Steven Shalowitz, and speaking of Israel, I'm coming to you from Israel, Tel Aviv to be exact, where our featured guest is Michael Lucas, the founder and CEO of Lucas Entertainment, one of the world's most notable gay adult film companies. Michael is a proud Zionist and outspoken supporter of the State of Israel. But before we bring on Michael, I'd just like to remind you that for over 120 years, Jewish National Fund USA has been the premier philanthropic movement for the land and people of Israel. While best known for planting trees in Israel, JNF USA contributes to Israeli life in so many ways, including community development in the Negev and the Galilee, preservation of heritage sites, supporting people with disabilities, and connecting high school and college students to Israel. To learn more and to see how you can contribute, do visit jnf.org. Once again, after all these years, hope you got it, it's jnf.org. All right, once again, Michael Lucas is indeed our featured guest on the show. Michael, thank you for joining us on this episode of IsraelCast.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, listen, I got to tell you that I've interviewed a lot of people in my 12 years as a podcaster and my years before that on radio, and I must say that you're probably the most multi-textured person I've ever sat across the table from in conversation. So I'm definitely looking forward to our chat today. And with that, I'd really like to start at the beginning with you because you were born in Moscow, 1972, at the height of the Cold War, Jewish family. So really, what was life like for you? And what did you know then about Israel or even your Jewish identity?
Well, my family was not religious. There were very few people that were practicing in Soviet Union. So, and we didn't keep traditions. My parents were, my father was engineer, my grandfather was engineer, my grandmother was teacher of piano in Moscow Conservatorium, and my mother was philologist of Russian literature. It was a family of, we called Russian intelligentsia, Russian Jewish intelligentsia. But unfortunately, we didn't keep traditions. But, and we didn't talk about Israel. And we knew that we're Jews. That was always discussed. And how can you not when it's so antisemitic? We had it in our passports as nationality. It was written Jewish. In fact, my passport was used on Wikipedia, my birth certificate, to showcase it in the paragraph about Soviet Jews. And it has a paragraph about that specifically, about how nationality for Russian Jews was not Russian, but Jewish. There's no country Jew. And so it was just in order to identify who is a Jew, and God forbid to make a mistake.
And as I understand it, you took your mother's, or you were given your mother's maiden name. If you can explain that.
Well, my parents decided, my grandparents decided that it's better for their grandson to have a less Jewish sound name, which was Travis, my mother's name for my grandfather, which actually is Jewish. It's a Latvian Jewish name. So, but they thought it would be less Jewish sound, because my father is Lev Bregman. Bregman is very Jewish. But that didn't really save me from anything.
So what was it like then? I mean, did you experience anti-Semitism growing up? And then we should share with our listeners, I mean, you studied law. Right. You're a very well-educated man.
Thank you.
So you received your law degree. So growing up, was there anti-Semitism for you personally, and then even when you were a law student?
Not when I was a law student as much, but when I was in school, yes, absolutely. Even though it was Moscow, it was much less than anywhere else. And I think that we had about 14 or 15 Jews in school. They all left.
You mean when they were allowed to leave?
When they were allowed to leave in 90s, when Gorbachev came. But so it was, I think, less in other places. But yes, of course. I mean, you encounter it everywhere, of course. Yes, I mean, in school, you have a school journal in every class. And in the journal, it's just like in your passport, it says, your first name, your last name, how old are you, and that it will be your nationality. And, what is the point for a teacher to have that? what is the point for the class? Because children will always look into it real quick when the teacher is not there. So what's the point? Of course, it's antisemitic. It's of course I had that. Of course.
So you go to law school,
right?
And then I believe you opened up a travel agency.
I did, yes.
Okay, and then you ended up leaving it was the Soviet Union.
Yes,
still.
I had a travel agency while I was in university. It was the last year. I was one of the first people who started business, and there were maybe 15 other travel agencies in Moscow. That was about that, and probably less, and even written an article about me. So it was all of that. Very exciting. I was making a lot of money for someone who is 20, whatever I was, and 22, and it ended very badly because there was a lot of mafia in Moscow, and at the end I lost that agency. But I traveled a lot through that year while I had the agency for a year, yes, and it was good, and then I ended up losing all that.
And then you ended up in you went to Germany.
After I graduated,
yeah.
I never practiced law. I left.
Why did you study law in the first place, by the way?
It's probably...
Is it because every Jewish mother wants their son to be a doctor or lawyer?
Definitely. My parents wanted me to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I really wanted to leave. Always wanted to leave. I don't understand right now why I actually did it. I don't know why I did it.
What do you mean?
Why I went to university. I should have left.
Oh, I see.
I should have left. I see it as a waste of 5 years. And everybody said, no, it's wonderful that I should have left 5 years earlier.
Well, clearly things worked out for you in the end.
Yes, but maybe they would have worked out better.
Or quicker.
Quicker, yes.
Could be.
Yes.
Listen, every life experience, Michael, is a life experience. Yes, so there you go. Yes. So you end up in Germany.
Right.
And you start to work as a model.
Yes.
And you enter into the adult entertainment industry.
Yes, I wasn't really fashion model for a long time. I hated this whole casting process, and I'm not tall enough. I'm 5'11". You need to be over 6. So anyway, I had to make money. And the thing is that back then in Germany, in 1995, you actually could not do anything without papers. And I came as a tourist. You couldn't do anything. So, but that you could, and so you could be in the adult industry. So that's how I entered.
So you work in Europe in the industry, you come to the United States, work in the industry, and then in 1998 you founded Lucas Entertainment in New York City.
Yes, I came to New York in 97, and I came because I was invited by, back then, biggest adult company in America and in the world, obviously. Then I opened my own company because I thought I know everything, and then I had to learn a lot, I guess.
Okay, so it's 1998, and right. You founded Lucas Entertainment,
right.
Doing your thing, and talk then really about where that awakening for your Jewish identity and for your Israel identity started. Did it start sort of in Germany after you got to the U.S.? Can you give us a little bit of a timeline?
Way before that. It was in Russia. As soon as I learned about Holocaust, I became a Zionist.
How old were you?
I don't know. Maybe it was 14. I'm not sure. Maybe earlier. And when I encountered antisemitism, I remember when I was called kike a couple of times. Mm-hmm. I think that made me very angry, I remember. And then learning about Holocaust. And I think that's back then. And I remember in university, now that I'm speaking about it, I remember I encountered antisemitism from a professor. And I confronted him, I remember. And so no, that was...
Do you remember the incident?
He said something about revolution, that it was perpetrated by Jews. And I said, why do you actually need to bring that up? I said, why do you think it's helpful, for the class? So, yeah. I think I was confrontational. Yeah. But anyway, I was a Zionist from. It was important for me. My parents, I remember, they said, my grandmother said, "Where's this coming from?" But only my father's family had kept some tradition, which was, Passover dinner. But my mother's side, absolutely not tradition. They were interested in music, in literature.
Intelligentsia, as you said.
Intelligentsia, but nothing to do with Israel. But when I brought everyone to America, they all became very, pro-Israel, of course, and that interested them. It just, in Soviet Union, it was different.
So you had it in you since you were, like you said, probably about 14 years old or so.
I did. Yeah.
And so you have always made your political views known.
Oh, yeah.
After you got to the U.S. and certainly probably before, as you just said, all your life. In March 2008, there was a profile of you in the New Republic, and they called you, quote, the gay porn's neocon kingpin. And I'm just wondering, what was your response to that?
My response to that?
Yeah, I mean, just what were you thinking when they shared that?
I remember I sent it to Marty Peretz, and I said to editor who we became friends with, I said, Marcy, I don't understand what that even means.
Right.
I said, that's like a world salad. But anyway, it was, yes, it was funny.
Right. And in terms of sort of your advocacy work, you've done an awful lot when it has come to Israel. And we're going to talk about what you're doing right now in Israel and the war and so forth. But I just want to give our listeners a sense of really what you've done, because this isn't new for you. Back in 2009, we should say you became an Israeli citizen.
2009, is it?
It was 2009?
Yes. I became American citizen probably in 2005, and then Israeli citizen in 2009. In
2009, it was also the year that you produced the film Men of Israel, which was the first adult film to use exclusively Jewish models. Right? Jewish men.
Yes.
And so talk about the making of that, how that came about, and then also how it was received.
That was probably the biggest commercial success we had.
It was under Lucas Entertainment.
Under Lucas Entertainment. It was written everywhere. And the Los Angeles Times wrote about it. And I think it was on Chelsea Handler, evening show. It was very, very well publicized it, and I chose, I think, 8 most beautiful guys, very beautiful Jewish guys, and we filmed I made sure to film in the most beautiful locations. We filmed in that sea, near that sea, with a view of that sea, and we filmed, of course, in Tel Aviv. We filmed by the Sea of Galilee. We filmed it. I chose most beautiful places. And I showed a lot of modern Israel as well. And because I didn't know it will be such a success, but I thought I need to show Israel as a very desirable destination. So I think it brought hundreds of thousands of gay men to Israel because it was so well publicized, because men were so beautiful. I received so many messages about that. And a lot of people were saying, I watched the movie and I decided to go to Israel, and thank you so much. And that was very rewarding, very rewarding.
Because your intention was to put Israel on the map for people, wasn't it?
Right. And I made money too.
Okay. That always helps, doesn't it?
It helps. But I didn't expect that it will be such success. And I didn't do this whole soldier thing. I felt like it will be cheap. And I didn't. But, it was a great success.
Are you going to do a part 2 ever?
No, but I did another one called Inside Israel, when I brought a lot of guys from different countries to Israel. And we did we did a movie here with international cast.
And it worked?
It was nothing like the first one. No, but gorgeous locations.
Okay.
Yes.
So clearly, you know what you're doing when it comes to making films. And in terms of films, you released your first documentary film in 2012. Undressing Israel, Gay Men in the Promised Land.
Right.
And I want you to talk about the making of that and its impact.
Well, that's where you lose money. And that's a movie that did cost much more. It was $100-something thousand.
And you funded it all.
I funded it.
You did not take it from the Israeli government.
I know. Israeli government.
No, because don't they give grants?
I didn't know.
Okay.
You're telling me now.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
You got to do a part 2 of that one. See if you can get a little money for it.
No. I funded it myself, and I was an Israeli crew, wonderful crew, and one of the guys was Yariv Mazer, who became actually a very good documentarist here. He did Eichmann tapes documentary, which is fascinating. Anyway, so I hired a crew, and we filmed about gay. It was all about gay Israel. I even interviewed people in Knesset. I interviewed Horowitz. And I interviewed, Israeli filmmakers and stars and all the, people in the gay community. And I did choose beautiful Israelis, and that's always a big plus. But I think it was a wonderful documentary, and that's where you don't make anything; you lose everything. You lose, and it was on different platforms. I went with that all over the world through film festivals. And a lot of festivals didn't take it because they said this is Israeli propaganda. Netflix didn't take it. They took my other documentary, which was about gay Russia, but they didn't take this one. No explanation, but they didn't take it. And there were a lot of other, places where they said, absolutely not, absolutely not. And so at some point, after I had a distribution company, and after, I think, 2 years, I decided, I think I returned $5,000 or $7,000. So I decided to put it on YouTube, and it's on YouTube.
So anyone can watch it again.
Anyone can watch it, yes.
Undressing Israel, Gay Men in the Promised Land.
Yes.
So thanks for sharing that. This is a good time, I think, for us to talk about this whole notion of quote-unquote pinkwashing, because you were at the center of that vis-a-vis New York Times, et cetera. And I'm just wondering, so, when people want to label what you've done as pinkwashing, your response to them is?
Well, I don't know what that means. That means nothing, pinkwashing. I mean, that's introduced by Judith Butler, the academic professor Judith Butler. She wrote an article, and of course, New York Times decided to publish it. And Michael Oren, ambassador to United States from Israel, he tweeted, shame, shame, shame on New York Times. And it is incredibly anti-Semitic, I think, to publish such thing. Because you can make up anything. You can say, well, America is doing pinkwashing. Of course, any country would talk about its achievements. It's absolutely normal thing. Every country is talking about their record on gay rights, on any kind of rights. So it's just blown out from the thin air. There's nothing in this theory, nothing at all to it. So she, in that opinion piece that she written, she mentioned. She said that Israeli pornographer, which is not really what I am. I live in America, but she wanted to make it so. And they mailed New York Times. I said, well, it's not even right, because she's saying it's Israeli pinkwashing. And then she's saying Israeli pornographer. I don't live there. It's just so misleading, the whole thing, because it sounds like Israeli government is using Israeli pornographer, hiring him, basically.
And you're not, just for the record, you're not being paid by anybody.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And they said, well, Mr. Lucas, don't you have Israeli citizenship? I said, I do have it, but just see how it sounds. Of course, they didn't change anything. But yeah, yes, there's a site called, online site, Electronic Intifada. They kept writing about me. Crazy stuff. I filmed one of the scenes in the ruins of some village near Jerusalem.
For which? For Men of Israel?
For Men Israel, yes. And I remember, for Men Israel, I was called by them genocidal pornographer because, they said, well, Arabs were killed in this village, So they said it's the same as the film, pornographic film in Auschwitz. Stuff like that.
Just absurd.
Just absurd. It was funny when I was filming, the Israeli helicopter came. That's when I filmed The Man Israel. Suddenly, Israeli helicopter, and we're like 15 people, crew and models, and it went very close on the corner, like it angled, and you see the guy with binoculars. So you looked at it for maybe 20 seconds, and they left.
They saw what was going on down there. They saw what's going on.
Nothing dangerous.
Okay.
Nothing dangerous. Bunch of gays. Yes, but that's documentary was a good documentary. It's very difficult to distribute anything that has to do with Israel. To the point, I'll tell you something. It was difficult to get it to the gay film festival because it went through gay film festivals.
You're talking about which one? Undressing?
Now I'm talking about Undressing. I'm jumping.
Yeah. You're talking about Undressing Israel.
Yes, Undressing Israel. The documentary was difficult to get to film festivals, but I got to many.
Yeah.
But then, even just imagine how insane is that? Is that in Israel, they didn't want to take it. Israeli Gay Film Festival is led by the person who hates Israel. I mean, absolutely. I remember that I had to involve people that were, he's a terrible liberal left, all the way left liberal extremist, who told me this is a propaganda. I said, do you understand that's what every anti-Semite in Europe was telling me, when they didn't want to take it. And I had to actually involve people, gay activists who I interviewed in the movie, and they pressured him to take the film. And when I met him in person, when I was presenting the film, I remember I asked, were you in the army? And he said, of course not. I said, why? He said, because it's a horrible army, he said. He said, but you won't be able to have your film festival without the Israel IDF. Where will you be? You would not be able to have your film festival. It's just, you know what? Now, of course, there is much more of that, much less of that. There's not much of that kind of extremist liberal left in Israel.
Now.
No longer, after October 7th.
And after October 7th.
Right.
And we're going to get to October 7th in just a sec, but I just want to tick off more of your advocacy work. And we're going to go back across the pond, as they say, to the United States in 2011. And I want you really to share what you did to stop in a quote-unquote Israeli apartheid week from taking place at the LGBT Center in New York City.
Yes, which I like to get gay center.
Okay.
I hate the whole LGBT thing, and now they add so many letters in that. Like every freak has to join that. Yes, I found out. Someone sent me an email that Gay Center is hosting an anti-Israeli, anti-apartheid group and they were collecting money to break the blockade, the Gaza blockade.
This was 2011, once again.
Right. And I remember that I, sent the mail to a lot of Jewish supporters. And we decided we were fighting it, and we made a big to-do in the press. And there was a meeting. The Gay Center, of course, got, very scared. And they organized the whole meeting with a debate. And I think there were about 150 Jews. Mm-hmm. And then there was this bunch of people with, anti-Israeli crowd, anti-Zionists. And my argument was back then, I said, but these people are not gays. I don't remember what the group called. I think you checked on that, right? That I said, you guys are not gays. What are you doing in Gay Center? You have no place here.
Yeah, it was called, as I said, Israeli Apartheid Week.
Israeli Apartheid Week, yes.
It's like, what does that have to do, as they say, with the price of tea in China?
And that was my argument. And so decision was not to let them meet there. So they organized all these, protests. They were sitting there in front of Gay Center, disrupting events and all that. And then I don't remember, half a year later, they changed their name, or I don't remember if they maybe merged with some other group that they put the word gay there. And then they did it again. They decided to collect money again, and they kicked them second time out. But I just invited more prominent Jews that I knew, and it was a lot of pressure on them. They kicked them out again.
So let's go to October 7th, Michael.
Right.
And that's why I think we're both here for that reason. Where were you when it happened? And what was your first thought?
It's interesting, I found out, I woke up and I had lots of messages
Were you in New York?
In New York. I had lots of messages from Russia, from my schoolmates that were not Jews, saying, I'm so sorry what happened in Israel. I'm so sorry what happened in Israel. I didn't get messages from non-Jewish friends in America. It's very interesting. So that's talking about, antisemitism. Everyone knew so well back then. Like 5 messages from schoolmates. I was in New York, and then first thing I did, I tried immediately to get to Israel, and I couldn't get tickets. And then I realized that all the reservists are flying back. So I talked to someone in El Al, and I said, once it's over, I would like to go. But of course, I don't want to take anyone's place, So I think I went 2 weeks later, something like that. I'm not sure.
And have you been here ever since?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're recording this on the 6th of January. So you've been here a good, 2.5 months.
Probably.
Yeah. A little over
2 months. Yes.
A little over 2 months.
Yes.
And you're staying indefinitely?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. I like being here very much.
Makes 2 of us, Michael. I don't know when I'm going back. I might just be changing my ticket myself.
I don't have ticket back, but I am coming here for every conflict. Every conflict I come here since Lebanon, 2006, before I was a citizen. And I always feel like it's wrong not to be here. And I'm not saying everyone should be here. And I'm not saying every Jew should be here. But it felt to me, I always feel like I need to be with my people because I come here for good time. But also I feel like I need to be here when times are bad. Yeah.
I agree 100%. And I think anyone that can come and has the ability to come should really come here. And just to spend time here.
Spend money. And
that's the important thing because the economy is really hurting.
Yeah.
And the economy, whether it's just going out to dinner or taking a taxi, is going to be helped by people, again, spending some cash.
I take taxi, I go for dinners.
Good, okay.
And I do other things.
All right, I'm sure. Okay, I want to talk about the rocket that you signed, the IDF rocket. Michael Lucas to Gaza. And you've gotten a lot of flack, boycott, etc. How did that come about?
Well, so about signing, I didn't sign it myself.
Yeah.
What I did is I brought, when I came here, I brought 9 pairs of boots for soldiers. And I took a picture, I posted on Instagram, like all of those boots, Michael Lucas NYC. It's my Instagram, and it has, I think, 115,000 followers. So I posted that. When I came here, I, donated it, and I got a picture from someone in the army, and they written my name from Michael Lucas to Gaza.
So they wrote it. You didn't tell them to write it.
That's right.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And
because that wasn't reported.
I know they misrepresented me. Though I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. I would have signed it. It's just factually not true, but I would have signed it. I don't care. There's nothing new in that. Today, by the way, Mike Pence signed one. I think it was today.
that Mike Pence is in Israel and he signed
physically signed
it. Yeah,
but someone just signed from Michael Lucas.
Someone signed
or Michael Lucas to Gaza.
Yes, and I didn't post it. Because I know that today's narrative, it will be probably too much for some people. But I was on Twitter, and I got sucked, just like many people, into this Twitter hole where people are fighting over Israel. And there is that guy, Jake Shields. Jake Shields is one of the probably 5 major anti-Israeli Twitter celebrities with huge number of followers. So what someone in Israel did, someone in the army, they written names of these people on rockets. So he was complaining on Twitter, that Jake Shields guy, that how Israelis are putting him in danger and how dare they putting his name on the rocket that is going to be dropped on Gaza. So I just thought it would be funny. So I posted in the comments, among like thousands of comments, I posted my comment, a picture of a rocket, and I wrote, I actually asked to post to send me a picture, to sign my name on it. Did they send you a picture before and after? Huge difference. So that was my job. So he was crying about it. So I said, I asked to sign that. Did they send you a picture before and after? So it was a joke. And 2 weeks later, someone digged it out because there are people that are watching me, and so there are those stalkers. And so then they sent it around, and then it was, I think, December 23rd in the evening, I started receiving a ton of messages everywhere on my Instagram, on my Twitter. Thousands of messages. Couple of thousand messages, let's say, not thousands, but a lot of messages calling me genocidal Zionist and wishing me to die a horrible death and all of that stuff, and it went through all. It
went viral.
It went viral, and gay porn models decided really to take their time from drug habits and wrap their heads around that Israeli-Palestinian issue. And
you say facetiously.
I say facetiously. It was very unpleasant. Now, I do not care about bad comments. I'm in the industry for 27 years. And it doesn't matter to me if I would not be able to have, if I would be bothered by nasty comments, I'll not really be on social media platforms. I don't mind it or I don't care. I rely on the approval of a very small group of people. And those people are not part of that small group. It's irrelevant to me. But the gay porn industry called for boycott. And they called on models to denounce me, which is a very Soviet thing. It just struck me as something from a Soviet, book on how to destroy people. Denounce him. And a lot of models were cowards. It was basically, it was led by some Iranian gay porn star who lives in America, who kept on posting about, pro-Palestinian propaganda, anti-Israeli propaganda. And so he started the whole thing. And so there was also adult blog, porn blog that they were calling for boycott. That popular adult gay porn blog was calling for boycott, saying that they will never write about anyone who will be working for us. And
working for Lucas Entertainment,
for my company. And a lot of models condemned me. There was condemnation after condemnation after condemnation, and people were pushed to do it. A lot of people were pushed to do it. And when I understand that they're in this Twitter bubble, and they feel like the whole world is looking at them and demanding it. In the reality, it's a group of people that are very vocal. But a lot of models were cowards, and they condemned me. And I'm talking about models that worked for me for years and actually know my opinions. I was never hiding them. And then, of course, there are a lot of antisemites in gay community. And that's some of them actually don't like Jews and hate Israel. And some of them are just ignoramuses that see Israel as underdog, Palestinians as underdog, and are not necessarily anti-Semites, but just wrong.
So are you finding that there are models now that are saying we're not going to work with you anymore?
Well, yeah, particularly once you condemn, of course, yes.
But, sometimes they condemn, and then a few weeks later
I won't work with anybody.
So that's the flip.
Condemn.
That's an important point. So that's the flip side. If they've condemned you and they come back to you, you're going to say, adios, I'm not working with you.
I'm not going to work with anyone who condemned me, particularly if it has, when they were writing Zionist as a slur. And some of them apologized privately to me. And
will you work with those again?
Not if they kept the condemnation. Yeah. I understand. It's a lot of them were very intimidated because, losing your livelihood, they don't have another business. That's all they do. But there were a lot of just pure anti-Semites there. Yeah, absolute anti-Semites.
And again, I want to underscore that you did not tell the IDF to write Michael Lucas to Gaza. They did that themselves. And then you just took the photo.
They sent me a picture.
Or they
sent me a picture.
They sent you the picture.
Right.
But it was not, but then you posted it.
I posted it as a comment on Jake Steele's Twitter feed.
Right. And that's how the whole thing started.
2 weeks later, someone digged it out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that for people because when I was doing my homework on Michael Lucas, nobody bothered to write about that.
Right.
And I think that's an important point.
I didn't bother to change that because I didn't see how it mattered. Mm-hmm. And that tweet of mine got over 5 million views. If you look at that
You mean the response?
No, my comment on the Jake Shields post.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Yes. Got over 5 million, probably much more by now. 5 million views with crazy comments. And he himself commented and he said, he's a monster about me. So, yes, but which was very pleasant to hear from Jake Shields. It's amusing that this is a guy who is actually hates gays. He is, if you put his name, Jake Shields, and homophobia, he will come up right there. He said, but he's guy from sports. And he had a lot of things about gays and about blacks and all of that. This guy, the gay performers were, including him in tweets against me.
Did you have any performers that have worked with you, any actors that were supportive of you?
Yes, they privately messaged me. And in fact, I told them, I said, they said, we're very sorry, we're standing with your people, we're standing with you, we're standing with your people. And I didn't ask them to comment publicly. I just thought, I don't want them to get into trouble. And I don't want it to go on Twitter. So I never made a statement. I gave statements to New York Post and to Daily Mail. Daily Mail actually didn't ask me for quotes. They just published, and they posted quote from that Iranian guy because he was kept on posting on Twitter. So I reached out to Daily Mail and I said, you did not ask me for comment. And said, do you mind if I'll send you my comment? And she said, absolutely. And she posted it. Yeah.
You touched on something a moment ago, and you said that many in the gay community are anti-Zionist, pro-Palestinian, and there's that whole Queers for Palestine movement. And I'm wondering if you can just address that.
Well, as they say, it's the same as, blacks for KKK or Turkeys for KFC or Turkeys for Thanksgiving. Makes no sense whatsoever. It's two things. First, I think it's two different categories of people. Some know that Palestinians would cut them into pieces. Imagine gay porn actors or just gays, like Queers for Palestine. And they just don't care about it, and they're just antisemitic, because they know. A lot of them know. And then there are ignoramuses that don't know anything. I mean, some of them were asking me, well, why do you think they're going to kill us on Instagram? They would direct message me, who have you been there? They were asking me, have you been to Gaza? How do you know that? I don't have to be in Gaza in order to know that. I read a lot. So that is this insane movement that goes against itself. Makes no sense.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, your message to those then Israel bashers, doesn't matter they're gay or straight or whatever it is, but those Israel bashers and those who really don't know the lay of the land.
Well, they don't know anything. They never read the book. They never read the book, but they read all about conspiracy theories online. Yeah. For example, a lot of them believe in 9/11 conspiracy theories, et cetera, et cetera. No, as I said, it's a group of ignoramuses and antisemites, and antisemites push on ignoramuses. And it's also, I tell you, it's pretty unbelievable what's happening. I mean, how successful Hamas attack was on October 7th, that it affects everything from American politics to some porn guy boycott. And Jews are afraid to wear their my candidates and in New York City. It is unbelievable that the scale of magnitude of this problem. And that is a failure, I think, of Israeli Hezbollah, what we call Hezbollah, because it should have been, first of course, there is a media bias, and there is, of course, antisemitism. But I would imagine that I know that majority of American people are not anti-Semites, and the ratings, the approval ratings, a majority of Israelis, by all the polls, were showing that Americans are with Israel. And then we started losing them. And we started losing them because we didn't provide materials. Israelis decided that they are not going to release those videos. And the explanation was, that we don't show our dead, and that families, of course. But we learned from Holocaust several things. And one of them, you have to film these atrocities and you have to show them. Eisenhower said when he came to Germany, when he came to concentration camps, he said he sent a message to America. He said, we need documentaries because tomorrow they will say it never happened. And we have Holocaust museums everywhere. We show all these pictures. How could we not show that? How can Israelis make such a mistake? That movie, 47-minute movie.
Did you see it, by the way?
I can't tell you, but it's something for journalists that they showed to journalists and only, and some other people. But media is very biased to Israel, of course. You have to give them every day a minute of that footage, half a minute of that footage, and demand that they publish it. And then that's how you keep the memory of that. That's how you keep it in perspective. Otherwise, you will just see Palestinian babies and hear those numbers, which no one should believe, of course. And so I believe it is in failure of Israelis to explain what happened, to keep it in the news. And that is a huge problem.
Going deeper, though,
Yeah.
there's such a bias against Israel in international institutions
Yes, of course.
and at levels of government. So it's
Yeah.
almost as if no matter what Israel did,
No.
they're still going to. I mean, I agree with you 100%
So
that they should. There should have been a more robust Hasbara all throughout, well before
since
October
we know
7th.
that they are,
However, there's that bias, though.
since we know that they are biased, we got to work 3 times harder. 3 times harder. And instead of that, we decided to show it only to journalists.
Yeah, and some diplomats and those kinds of people, which
Yes.
again, it's only going to be limited because it has to be shown
Right.
what you're saying to a wider audience. And that's actually something I want to ask you about, Michael, because, one of the reasons why I think it's very important for me to do this podcast, this episode with you, and to host IsraelCast to begin with, is to share the story of Israel and the people that are involved with Israel, in Israel, outside of Israel, and so on. And what is your message also to the average person that's listening in the car right now, out on a jog, that wants to do something? Like, what would you want to tell them? Because I really think that it's going to take not a village, it's going to take a huge army of Jews around the world to be actively engaged. Because I think Jews have finally woken up, in my mind.
A lot of them.
Sure. There's always going to be a small percentage that are going to be self-hating Jews. But I would say the vast majority of those that were not identifying as Jewish, not proud to be Jewish, not proud of the fact that Israel is the Jewish homeland, I think that they have finally woken up. So what's your message to them? What would you like them to do?
Well, first, I would like Jewish celebrities to actually do what Jerry Seinfeld did, what Deborah Messing did. I would like celebrities to come to Israel and show their support.
By the way, they both go meet Michael Lucas when they come to Israel.
They did not come to meet me.
Well, you know what it's like? It's like going to Rome and meeting the Pope.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I met them, and it was because, I was invited, not by them, but someone else, to lunch, where, Seinfeld happened to be, to lunch, and same with Deborah Messing, went for drinks with few people, and she's lovely and she's wonderful, and
you want more celebrities,
and I would like to have more celebrities here, but it's very intimidating for them.
I do want to give a shout out though to actress Patricia Heaton, because she has been incredibly outspoken in her support for the state of Israel. She was on Everybody Loves Raymond, and she was also on the ABC show The Middle, which was hysterically funny also. And she's done a phenomenal job on Twitter, so I recommend everybody follow her. So you want the celebs to come here, because as far as I know,
Very important.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those are the only two that have come.
There are some others, but not that caliber.
Not of that stature.
There's no Barbara Streisand. She won't come. I mean, unbelievable. She's the most important Jew in the world, isn't she? You think Jews, you think Barbara Streisand and Einstein. So yes, it's unbelievable that
And
she
we can't
come.
resurrect Einstein to come.
We can't, and he would have.
But he would have. He would have been the first here.
But she's not Einstein.
Yes.
She's a singer, but that is just what is she to lose? To come. She doesn't want the backlash. Nothing on her Instagram. Nothing. But I bet there was a black cube on during Black Lives Matter.
Of course,
I'm sure. So
it's celebrities coming here, and then for those of us that are not celebrities, for the average person that's just listening,
I think should absolutely come.
Yeah, and if they can't come, Michael, because not everybody.
There are a lot of charities they should contribute to. There are
like Jewish National Fund, which is doing phenomenal. Jewish National Fund USA, which is doing phenomenal work throughout Israel. And also the other thing, I think, it's to be engaged with those that are not necessarily Israel supporters, or those that don't know a lot about Israel, or not Israel engaged, or those people that aren't Jewish. Because, for example, just as an aside, I have friends in the Muslim world. And
Me too. I traveled a lot to Muslim world,
Me
and
too.
I have friends more than all these people that are talking about Islamophobia. They have no idea.
I know, it's ridiculous when you
Yes.
think about it.
I actually have friends that live in Morocco, in Tunisia, in Jordan, in Turkey. Gay friends of mine who I met when I was traveling there. And because it was a website, Gay Romeo. And back then, when I was traveling a lot, and I would say, like, post my profile, Michael Lucas coming to Jordan, or coming to Morocco. So, and, would like to meet local, guys. And you always have to, they never believed you, so we video called, remember. And so I would meet so many people, and they would be first to tell you how much they hate these regimes and how they struggle. I know much more. These people that are, accusing me in Islamophobia, they don't know anything. They've never left their bedrooms. And if they went somewhere, it would be some kind of gay vacation spot in Mexico, and they've never seen how real people live in the world.
Have you been in touch with those people, and have they spoken to you about the situation
and
right
some
now?
of them accusing Israel, some don't.
I have one friend in Iraq that reached out to me. I was in Iraq over a year ago, who reached out to me after October 7th, totally unprovoked, because he had seen a couple of my posts on social media, and he was telling me how much he was tired of the fundamentalism. He was tired of all of this indoctrination, and he just wanted to get out.
And some of them do fall for propaganda, and it's difficult not to.
And this is the other thing. I had somebody who also, I didn't reach out to him, but I saw him posting on social media. He was posting, he's also from Iraq. He had been posting Jewish sites in Iraq, because there's plenty of them. And he was posting them, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. Then October 7th happened, and he started posting the typical propaganda, which I don't have to go into. And I sent him a message, and I said, hey, can we talk? I said, because I'm finding your presentation not only offensive, but frankly, it's incorrect. So we had a FaceTime conversation for about 20 minutes, and I was dispelling every one of his, in a very nice way, in a very civil way.
Right.
Because I thought to myself, the best way is to engage rather than
if they're willing to listen.
If they're willing to listen. Now, he was slightly combative, but I thought, you know what? He was willing to listen, and he said that he would be amenable to a round 2. And I asked him during our conversation, our back and forth, I said, by the way, where did you get this information? His response to me was, we learned about it in school. Everybody knows about it.
No.
So, of course, it's indoctrination.
Yeah.
And when organizations like UNRWA stop feeding the hate, then at least we're going to make some headway.
Absolutely.
So that's why. So even though I asked you the question, I'm going to answer the question, if you don't mind.
They're Jewish.
In the typical Jewish way, right?
Yes.
Is that indeed anyone that can do anything on social media, even if it's people that don't have a Twitter account, get a Twitter account and start posting and start responding to some of these people.
And
just so that there's a mass, so people know
Right.
that we're a voice.
And yes, and of course there will be most people that post back and comment. They are people that you can change their minds.
Yeah.
But then there are a lot of people whose mind you can actually change. They're just not posting comments and don't get engaged. But yes, it makes difference.
One of the things that I did at the very outset, because whether it's this show or my regular podcast, The Only Ticket Show, I've had a number of really, really smart people on the show. And I will say yourself included, because you are rather intelligent on the subject.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And they've also written books, which I don't believe you've done yet. So maybe that's...
Someone wrote a book about me, which was praiseful and boring. But I'm writing a book now.
You are?
So probably in a year it will be out.
What's it? Let me finish my thought, and then I want to hear about this book.
Go ahead.
So what I did was I posted about 5 books that my guests had written about Israel, about Gaza, about Hamas, and so on. And I thought, you know what? If one person picks up one of these books and reads it and then starts questioning what they had been taught, then my job would have been done. So that's the other thing. I think people need to do sort of an intellectual exercise and share with folks on social media books they've written, articles they've written,
Right.
so that people can really educate themselves. Now, on to you. What's this book all about?
That I'm writing?
Yeah.
It's just going to be my autobiography.
Wow.
Yeah. People ask me why you're not writing the book, and I decided, okay, I will write a book because a lot of people are interested, and because I really hated the boring biography written in 2007 about me.
Who wrote it?
It was written by a fan, and he managed to actually publish it. And
Was it with or without your permission it was written?
I gave him about 10 interviews.
Okay.
And it was 2007. I didn't know what I'm doing. And he wrote a biography. It was very praiseful, boring as hell, inaccurate, I was amazed that it was published. And but it turned me off, writing a book for a long time. And now I decided I will do it. Apparently, it's not difficult to publish. Yes. You know what I wanted to say? I wish what I would see in Israel is they think what Israelis should do. It's horrible to tell, when you don't live here, to tell Israelis what to do. I think what would be important is to have the Nuremberg-style process here, trials. We have caught enough of the Hamas fighters, those that are proud of what they do and do not repent. And we're hiding them in jail. They don't give in to. It's very important in order to bring attention back to what happened, how it started. We have to have this process. And that's when we have all international media should be there. It has to be built up and awaited. And that's when we'll put them just like we put all the Nazi criminals before. And we would show our footage. And we will have, we'll ask relatives to leave while we're showing that. And then we will hear from them and let them say that they were how proud they are of that. Nazis were denying it. And when they couldn't deny, they were saying that they were told to do so. Majority of them were saying that. Those who are bragging about it, those are proud of it, did it with a glee. This footage is as shocking, and I think more shocking than Holocaust, the videos from the camps, from concentration camps. And we have to show it, and we have to run that for a month or 2 months. And that would be, I say that the only way for us to keep October 7 in the news. People forget, and media is biased, but even if they won't be biased, what are they going to be talking about if you don't have materials? I'm thinking about this all this week, about how important they are, and I messaged it to several officials that I know and keep on pushing this idea. I think it's very important.
And the other thing that's important is to keep up the notion that we still have hostages there, right? Because that seems to be, at least in the news cycle, falling by the wayside.
When I was watching in the beginning of the war, Israeli officials tripping their tongue, talking about tunnels, I just thought all you have to say is October 7th, we had a ceasefire, and they broke it. That's a very important point. And then at some point they picked up on that. And I think you and I discussed. The mayor of Jerusalem, Jerusalem picked it up.
Flora Hassanahum, the deputy mayor,
Absolutely. I mean, Americans, you lose Americans when you start talking about the tunnels and all of that. It's much more important points. You want the war you want ceasefire. You want peace, return our hostages, surrender. That's another point. These are main points that every talking head should be repeating over and over again and again.
Indeed. Listen, just one or two more questions because I know you have to run.
It's okay.
You said you rely on approval of only a few people.
Yeah, a small group of people.
And I'm just wondering, who are they?
My family, my friends, people I respect. people that I admire, and they were all great. I don't rely on the opinion of strangers and people on Twitter who I don't know. It doesn't do anything to me. Nothing. And they can say whatever they want.
And building on that is that you clearly have a thick skin. Or don't you?
I do. I guess I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be, doing it. And I don't know. I think I have a thick skin. Yeah, I guess.
Because for those of us that don't have thick skins,
right,
it can be very daunting to put stuff out on social media and then to have people start criticizing.
I think I keep it in perspective. Okay. Really that. I think, I understand very well that these people are unimportant for my life. I mean, I don't know them. And nobody's, and they're people I can't stand. I mean, if someone is saying, that Israel should disappear and these Jews should leave, it doesn't do anything to me. There are comments, they can call me names. I don't care. Interesting, my father, who is he's Russian, a man from Russia, and who doesn't really say much. He doesn't compliment people a lot. Like and he loves me and my brother, but, he doesn't compliment us. It's just not in his nature.
Different generation.
Yes, you need an approval from your parents. He called me and he found out about that. And he said, I just want to tell you that I have a great respect for you, that you didn't back up. I said, can you imagine you know me for such a long time that I would back up? He said, can I just give you a compliment? I said, that's very, very touching, very touching. That it was very, very moving. That's very rewarding. When your father would tell you that, and when your friends tell you that, and Israeli people, I receive so many messages, direct messaging me on Instagram, saying thank you so much for what you do, and coming to me in the streets here saying thank you to me. That is incredibly rewarding.
I can imagine.
Incredibly rewarding. And Jews from different countries, and that is just so incredibly rewarding. Very. And I'm fine with that. I don't care I don't care if the majority of people will think I'm wrong, that Israel is wrong. It wouldn't change my mind.
Well, I have to say that's very encouraging. And I think that gives great inspiration for those of us that want to be more active on social media, or for anyone that's listening that wants to be active.
I wish Barbara Streisand would say that.
I don't know if she listens to our show, but if she is, Barbara, Michael Lucas is waiting for you here in Tel Aviv. That's all we can say. On a lighter note.
I would say Barbara.
You mean it's too late?
No, I would say what a awful people they are when they have nothing to lose at this point. She has all the money. She's not going to be in Hollywood. She's not going to get about not to do the right thing. You know what it is? Liberal first. A Jewish somewhere second or third. It's about the tribe. Belonging to a tribe. I think they all see what Deborah Messing is getting, the hate she's getting on her social media. And Jerry Seinfeld, I posted a picture with Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah,
800 comments. 700 are horrible. And they're purely anti-Semitic. They're not about Israel. And a lot of them are actually anti-Semitic. Yeah.
Do you know what my soon-to-be 94-year-old Holocaust surviving rabbi always says? Is that Hitler didn't differentiate between a conservative and Orthodox or Reform. A Jew is a Jew is a Jew.
So same as Hamas.
Yeah. And so I think all of these Hollywood types are going to have to come to a reckoning and understand that.
Yeah.
That they, how can they be out there and talking about, be who you can be, and, show your identity and all this kind of business, yet they're not showing theirs. They're not walking the walk.
Absolutely. I was talking to a famous Jewish Hollywood person.
That you're going to tell me the name of after we stop recording.
And we talked, with several friends, and it happened to be in that company and with this person. And I said, and conversation was about Ben Shapiro.
Mm-hmm.
And this person said, I admire him so much for what he does for Israel. He speaks so eloquently, and was praising. And I said, would you go on his show? He said, no. After a pause, I said, why? Well, because, we have nothing in common, because he's against everything I believe in. Like, he's against abortion and gay marriage. And I said, but why does it matter? Gays are fine. Gays are fine. Israel is in trouble. Why wouldn't you go? Is it because you think that you will lose your job? But that is that thing, that even today, even now, even when, and before I left, if you meet Ben Shapiro, tell him how much I admire him. So why don't you reach out? I said, it's just that even in this time, the belonging to a tribe is more important. Very often is more important.
And the tribe that they are belonging to isn't the Jewish tribe.
Yeah, it's
right?
A liberal tribe.
Yeah,
it's a liberal tribe, and that tribe overwhelmingly believe that Israel is aggressor and Palestinians are underdogs. And Jews found themselves in a terrible situation now that they realized, and a lot of my liberal Jewish friends that were arguing with me now realized that I'm glad admitted that they were wrong in resigning from all those boards they were on and losing friends. Why not to say publicly, we made wrong alliances? Why not to say that? I told that person in Hollywood, I said, why don't you tell, just right, I made wrong alliances. It's okay to say that. No. The entire thing is just so unbelievable. Israel, as someone said, is not allowed to win the war. Just not allowed to win the war. We learned from the Second World War and from every other war that you can't win the war without actually destroying morale of society. You have to crush the morale of society. That's what we did with Nazis. By carpet bombing them, we killed millions of innocent civilians, or perceived innocent civilians. We killed millions of civilians. I don't know how innocent they were. And no one demanded ceasefire. No one was saying, let's give them fuel to their hospitals. Unbelievable. With Israel, it's different. We give them fuel, give them corridors. Israel is not allowed to win the war. And the second, and that's why I don't know what will happen. I don't think anyone knows. But to fight the war that you can't win. And the second ingredient here was that you have to stay. In order to win the war, you crush the morale of society, and then you stay in that society, in their country. Like we stayed in Germany for, 40 years? Yeah. And we were very kind to them. We rebuilt them, and we were very good to them.
Same with Japan.
A great example. But it's impossible to do here because Palestinians will not reciprocate to that. They will take kindness, as they did with Gaza, not as a gesture of goodwill. They will take it as weakness. And that is second reason why we can't win this war. Because you cannot bomb them and fight them with everything we have, just like any country will use all the resources it has to win. And secondly, because we cannot stay there and give them that kindness which we gave to Germans and to Japanese. And so I don't know where this war will take us.
It's to be continued. Actually, now, Michael, as we wind down the conversation, right, I always like to leave on a high note, okay? And so you're going to be 52. Mm-hmm. You look great. You look like you're 25, okay? Let's get all of our listeners in shape for a new year, and let's get them healthy and active talk about your diet regimen and your exercise regimen. What do you do to stay fit and healthy and looking you do?
Thank you. Well, that's very kind. And I tell you what you shouldn't do. I never in my life, believe me or not, being in that industry and being from Russia, I never drank in my life. I never smoked. I never inhaled a cigarette. I never tried any drug. I think I was going to clubs when I was 18 until I was about 25. I think that's the main thing. And
what about sunshine?
I don't fry myself on the sun. That is true. That is so.
And what about sleep? Because I didn't ask you when we first met.
I wish I would sleep longer. I wake up always early, like 6 a.m., being very excited about the day. It's not good. You should sleep at least 7 and much better 8 hours, minimum 7. And I work out 4 days a week for about close to an hour. And that is very important. I mean, it's for you. I don't like working out. It's boring. But I do it because it's good for your mood. It's very important. And of course, physics is very good. It's very important. I recommend everyone to work out.
And intermittent fasting.
I do intermittent fasting. Yes, I see you're taking it out. Well, that's for the book. No, I'm joking. I eat for 8 hours and I don't eat for 16 hours. It's intermittent fasting. I wake up and I skip breakfast and I eat late lunch and I eat anything I want. I eat anything I want for those 8 hours and I eat a lot. And that keeps me fit.
And it works.
It works. I hate dieting. I just hate it.
All right. Can't wait for the book to come out. Can you join us when it gets published?
Of course.
All right. For round 2.
Lovely.
In the meantime, we're going to leave it right there. And we want to thank you, Michael Lucas, for joining us on this episode of IsraelCast. And we'll have info about Michael on the show notes page of this episode on our website, jnf.org/IsraelCast. And just as a reminder, we do release new episodes of the show every other Wednesday. In fact, we might be releasing a little bit more now that I'm in Israel. But nevertheless, do mark your calendars for every other Wednesday. And just so you never miss an episode, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. It's so easy. Simply search for IsraelCast. And don't forget to rate and review us because that really helps with our rankings, which in turn make it easier for more people around the world to find us. Or you can always enjoy the show by visiting us at our website. Once again, it's jnf.org/IsraelCast. And it takes a whole moshav to put IsraelCast together. For that, we thank Vivian Grossman, Dara Shapiro, J.D. Krebs, and Ellie Kadrin. Our editors are Jay Rothman and James Casada from Miratone Studios in the very heart of New York City. And the music that you hear at the top and tail of the program is titled My Eden. It's by the very talented Rafi Malkiel from his album Water on the Tzaddik label. IsraelCast is powered by Jewish National Fund USA, your voice in Israel. For more info about JNF USA, do visit jnf.org. And if you'd like to write to us with story ideas or just to say hello, Michael would love to hear from you, but only nice emails, and so would I. So do email us at israelcast@jnf.org. Meantime, I'm Steven Shalowitz. Thank you for tuning in and looking forward to having you join us on future episodes of IsraelCast.